The next day, Bayern actually called me and asked me to come on trial. So what happened was I actually went to Bayern Munich first, and they wanted to sign me. This is where I talk about football this is why you need the right people, structure, and stuff. So Bayern wanted to sign me, and that's how I got my exposure for Man United. Funny enough, it was Chelsea first, and then Man United. So once one big club comes in, they all come coming. The scary part is you think they all want you. But what you don't understand, the political side of it is, I'm just using this for example. It didn't really happen to me, but like, let's say Real Madrid or Barcelona wanted to sign me. They just didn't want me to sign for Real Madrid. So that kind of did happen for me because Chelsea came in for me first. And Man United did like me, I'm not saying it, but it's more of, they were the rivals at the time, right? So they don't want you to sign for Chelsea.
Right.
So now that's the hard part. You have to figure out who really appreciates you more, where are you going to develop more, all the things that you talked at the very beginning of basically who's showing you the most love.
Yeah.
And so that's how those opportunities all came at once. But the opportunity actually came from Bayern, and they're the ones that wanted to sign me first. And then I actually went from Bayern to Chelsea. And then from Chelsea, I went to Man United. I did like all trials to see where I wanted to go. And then Frank Yallop was obviously the coach. He brought me into the men's team. We did a couple friendlies that don't count as international caps.
Yeah.
And then once, like I said, those three teams wants you, basically every team in the world's more or less.
Of course, yeah.
are interested in you, so.
Wow, that's super fascinating. and you had to navigate that experience on your own.
That's what it was.
Like you said earlier, there wasn't a lot of experience that you could call on to support you. You know, I don't recall anyways there being any real agents, especially ones with experience here in Canada supporting Canadians abroad. You just kind of had to make some calls and ask, hopefully somebody.
Yeah, so I had Barry McLean. You know Barry McLean?
No, I don't.
So he was an agent too.
Okay.
Francois. He was really good for me. He's actually how he got all the opportunities. But I was one of his, I want to say, biggest clients. You know what I mean? Well, with those opportunities, he was amazing, by the way. He's part of the reason why I had a career where I had, and I'll always be grateful for what he has done for me. But it's me and him too, where I use that for example too. I had Julian de Guzman too and Paul Stalteri. They're doing well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but let's take Neymar for example. Neymar gets to talk to Pele, Ronaldo, Romario, Rivaldo. You're France. You're coming through in France, and you're going to the biggest clubs like Real Madrid. You're calling Zidane. You're calling Makelele. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? Who am I calling? Bob the Builder? You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm no disrespect, or
yeah.
I can't really. Who at the time? Who had the opportunity? There was no Canadian that had the opportunity that I had. Bayern, Man United, and Chelsea. Man United and Chelsea were the best teams in the world at that time.
Yeah.
Literally. And then you have Bayern Munich. Those are the three biggest teams. What Canadian, apart from Owen Hartgraves, that's what's the beauty. I was when I got to meet him when I was at Bayern. But he was, who else? Who else do you have the experience to get the education from?
Yeah.
So now I have to make a decision with that agent. And luckily, to be fair, he gave me the right advice. But having that other support system could make you even have a better decision, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we were talking about that, you know, the power of experience and each generation that comes before, whether it's in, you know, life outside of the game, being a parent, being a sibling, or directly in the game, each generation, the hope is that they improve, not just in their abilities, but also in their ability to make good decisions and navigate what's otherwise a really unknown terrain. And of course, that terrain continues to evolve. We often use the example. There's a quote, and it's that no man steps in the same river twice, for he is not the same, nor is the river. And so, even though that's true in this scenario, at least having a set of experiences that when the next generation is showing up to that river, that alternate terrain, there's some level of experience. It might be different today than it was back then, but there's still a wealth of experience. And people are still people. Politics is still politics in the background. And the human condition does remain the same, despite some changes.
And I agree with that. It's like you give the experience, you tell people the experience so they can make a better decision than what you made.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I always tell the people, exactly what you're saying. I hope that's similar to what you're saying, right? It's like,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you my life experiences. So if a decision like this comes into your life, you could be calm about it and you could make the best possible decision for you. It's like what we were talking about with you and your brother. Remember, we were saying your brother's going to have a career, and it sounds scary. I think he's a great player or whatever, and he'll sit here and he won't get it. No disrespect, he won't get it until he maybe goes to play for Man United. And it would be like, I made it, but you made it. I'm not saying he wouldn't, but I made it because of my brother's experiences. You know what I mean? Partially, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm just using that. That's part of the one support system. And then it will follow. I made it because my dad's support system and my mother's support system and maybe some couple friends. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's the experience that you want to give that a lot of athletes usually have.